Okay, class. So for the first 5 equations, we need to find the square root for each of these numbers. A good way to start off would be to make a chart or just a list of the first 10 or 11 square roots. So I'm going to go here on the side and make a list of the square roots. So we have 1 to the second power is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100, 11 squared, is 121, 12 squared is 144, and 13 squared is 169. So this part should be all reviewed. These are the ones that you should probably memorize, because the more you can memorize them, the easier it will be. So the next thing would be then to go and find the answer. So number 2 is pretty easy, because the square root of 36, if you come and look on our list, to get 36, we squared the number 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. So the square root of 36 is equal to 6. Number 4 is a little different, because there's a negative sign out in the front. So the square root sign we're going to treat like parentheses with PEMDAS. And so underneath here, you're going to take the square root of 64. So you come back over here to our numbers. This is the square root of 64. And we see that the square root of 64 is 8. And because the negative sign is on the outside of the square root sign, we just tack it on. Just like that. Didn't even have to think about it. Okay, let's continue. So the square root of 121. If you go here and look on down this side, all the way down and find 121, it tells you what we multiplied together to get 121. We multiplied 11 times 11. So the square root of 121 is 11. Now this looks complicated, but it's not. Number 8, it's just we're going to take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom and leave it as a fraction. So go here on the right and find out what we multiplied together to get 16. We multiplied 4. And what did we multiply together to get 9? And that was 3. So our answer is 4/3. And number 10 is almost like number 4 and number 8 together. So you're going to take the square root of 1, which is what? 1. And the square root of 100, which is 10. And then because there's a negative sign on the outside, we're just going to stick that negative sign right there. And that answers numbers 2 through 10 even. For the next section, it says, identify 2 consecutive integers in which each square root lies between. So again, we're going to want to start out by making our chart. So we have, you should have this on your paper already for the most part. If you don't, let's see who can get done the fastest. You or me. Make sure you're writing this down, and if you don't remember, use a calculator to help you with the numbers as they get bigger, but some of these you should remember already. Equals 69, and I'm going to add a little more because we have big numbers over there. So I'm going to go up to 18. So 14 squared is 196. 15 squared is 225. 16 squared is 256. 17 squared is 289. 18 squared is 324. So our biggest number for these next three is 320. So we can stop right here. Now, so the directions say to identify two consecutive integers in which each square root lies between. So if you look at number 12 and you see this number is 320, you're going to go over to our list and find numbers over here, down this column and down this column, that 320 lies between. And if we do it right, if you're looking right, it's going to be right here. It's going to be 289 and 324. 320 lies right in between there. So the two consecutive integers, what does consecutive mean? Consecutive means consecutive integers are integers that follow one another. Or that are right next to each other. Oh, my handwriting is terrible. Let me fix it. Next to each other. So as you can see, our two consecutive integers for the first one are 17 and 18. So your answer would be 17 and 18. So with number 14, we see that there's a negative sign here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to ignore it until we're done. So we're going to do the same thing we did at the top. We're going to go to the square root of number 156. So we take this number here and look down our column and find 156, where two numbers that 156 lie between. So it lies between 12 and 13. So the answer to this is going to be 12 and 13. And you can just stick the negative number on the result when you're done. See how easy that is once we have our chart? One more. Let's do number 16. We have the opposite of the square root of 249. We're going to go and find the number where that 249 lies between. I'm going to change color pen so you can see it because it kind of intersects over here. So 249 lies between 225 and 256. So our integers are going to be 15 and 16. And because there's a negative sign out here, we're going to stick one right in front of each of the numbers. And that is how you do this section here. Okay, so in our next part, we're asked to estimate the square root to the nearest tenth. And our number is the opposite of the square root of 320. As you can see, I already pre-made our chart, and I've listed all the perfect squares up to 20. I suggest you do the same. Now we're looking for a pair of numbers that 320 is between, because 320 is not a perfect square. So we're going to look in our list like we've done before, and we come to 17 and 18. So we're going to, because 17 squared is 289 and 18 squared is 324. So the next thing we're going to do is then draw a number line so we can estimate what the square root of 320 is. We're going to ignore the negative sign for now, just like we did before. And we're going to, on the number line, we're going to put the square root of 289, which is 17 on one side, which is right here, and 18 here. Okay? So we know that this is the square root of 289, and this is the square root of 324. Now, halfway is 17.5. So now we want to look and see, is 320 closer to 17, or is it closer to 18? 17.5 is right in the middle. So 320 is 4 less than 324. So that says that it's going to fall somewhere close to 324. I want to say maybe halfway between 17.5 and 324. Right? So if this is 17.5 and this is 18, halfway between that is going to be about maybe 17.7. It's just an estimate. So what I'm going to then do is put up here, this sign means that it's approximately or it means it's about 17.7. Now, I'm hoping Miss G has gone over this part with you just so I can solidify what she said, and I hope I said the same thing she said. But it's just a guess. When it says estimate, it's just a guess. I could have said that it was 17.8. It's almost 17.8, 17.7, somewhere around in there. It's not asking for an accurate number. It's asking for a really good guess. And this is acceptable. And everybody's not going to have the same number. It just has to be close. In this section, the directions are to circle each value that is a perfect cube. Again, as you can see, I went ahead and made my chart in advance to save time. We have a little review. 1 cubed, or 1 to the third power, is 1 times 1 times 1, and that equals 1. 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed, is 2 times 2 times 2, and that's equal to 8. 3 cubed is 27, and so on and so on. I did the first 10, and now all you have to do here is go back and circle those numbers that are perfect cubes. Is 27 a perfect cube? Yes, it is. It's right here, so you're going to circle that. Is 1,000 a perfect cube? Yes, it is, so you're going to circle that. Is 90 a perfect cube? No, it's not. Is 1 a perfect cube? Yes, it is. What about 300? Nope. What about 72? Nope. What about 525? Nope. What about 216? 216 is on our list. 216 is a perfect cube. In our last problem, it says to find each cube root. So for number 22, it is, what is the cube root of 125? How do I know it's not the square root? This number here tells us what the root is. What the root is. So we know that this is the cubed root because this number says cubed root. We know, just as an example, that this is the fifth root because that number is 5. When there is no number, you just should automatically know that it's the square root. So that's just a quick little review. Again, I have made my chart of the perfect cubes. And when I take the cubed root of 125, I see right here is my answer. So the answer is 5. See how easy that was? I would like to suggest that you memorize at least the first 7 cubes and then memorize how to find them, so that when you need to make a chart, you can use your calculator to help you to make the chart.